Hey Helldivers, here's a bunch of questions that got asked to the Helldivers developers over the last two videos, and here are the answers for them as well, condensed into a nice ADHD friendly version. In the Democratic conversation with Mikkel Eriksson. Question: why were last time's questions so softball? Mikkel responded with, I'm just a slave to your questions. And Sean responded with, first one used internal Arrowhead questions, now it's all community. Last time was soft. Question: why is the game struggling? Why do Illuminate still have launch day bugs like clipping and spawning? Mikkel responded with, game dev is hard. We over-prioritize new content, broke things, and lost trust. My fault. Normalization of deviance, we got used to cutting corners. Now recalibrating our structure, tightening processes, focusing on fixes. The recent patch is a start, and it's time to clean our rooms. Question: how will you approach balance? How long to fix the game? Priorities? Fix enemies that break stratagems? Mikhail responded with that their balances are still ongoing through testing and community input, and the most recent patch is a big step forward, but the community has mixed reactions as expected. The timeline is to fix crashes short term with closed betas, to fix the bugs within month, even though they fixed 200 of them recently, by doing rapid bi-weekly patches. Performance will be a gradual work, as you can't just fix everything immediately. And the PC file size is absolutely unacceptably large, and they're exploring hard drive and solid state drive workarounds in order to optimize it for both storage devices. Question: anti-cheat bricking PCs and corrupting operating systems. Arrowhead has investigated if anti-cheat is the fault for a lot of the performance options, and no evidence has been found. They're still digging, but it's unlikely that anything will arise from it. Question: is everyone okay with delaying content? Or is not everyone okay with delaying content? Mikhail has answered with, we have ambitious plans, including interactive stories, player agency, and game master stuff. We're delaying to stabilize. Not everyone agrees, me included. I want content too, but it's necessary for performance fix. Question was arised about why Arrowhead is still using the Stingray engine and not using a more modern engine, and why hasn't the development moved over to another engine? Mikhail responded with, back when Stingray was still new, they were developing Helldivers 1, and the development took a really long time to do, and they were expecting for it to be a 2 to 3 year project, and every year after the second year of development they thought, yeah, we're going to release it next year, so we'll release it in year 3. Well, we can't do year 3, let's do year 4. Can't do year 4, okay, year 5, and so on until year 8. Questions for switching game engines were there when Helldivers 2 was being developed, but they just kept thinking that they're going to release it next year, so switching all their operations over to another game engine would just make the development take even longer than it already is, because they were expecting to release it next year. Then they had to postpone it to the next year, and then to the next year, 8 times. And now with how large of a game Helldivers 2 is and how big of an effort this all has been, it would be very, very hard to switch everything over to a new game engine and keep the game similar. And it's not like the Stingray engine is that bad, it's just it has few bugs that spiral into being bigger issues. And Arrowhead is actively and continuously improving the engine as they develop to try and make it run better and smoother and have more features available for future content. Question was asked about how the dev process is restructuring in Arrowhead and how they're going to further flesh out how they develop new things for the game. This question was answered with, making games is a tricky thing with lots of tricky things in it. Game developers many steps like planning for future content, developing this future content, and doing internal testing for this future content, and finding bugs for this content, and fixing the bugs for this content, and then releasing this content. Then there's more bugs for this content that are discovered, so you got to go back and develop fixes for the bugs in this content. Then you got to refine the content so you don't have more content bugs in the future when you're employing future content. I know I've said content a lot, but he also said content a lot, so don't blame me. Summary: there's a lot of steps, it's really complicated, trying to work on how to manage it better. Moving on to about the roadmap discussion. Arrowhead intentionally avoids a fixed public roadmap to preserve the living universe unpredictability. Enemy plans stay secret to avoid spoilers, and they'll share more non-spoiler items like fixes, war bonds, super earth initiatives like new vehicles, and file size reductions when set. The current focus is bi-weekly patches every 2 weeks for the next few months, prioritizing bugs and performance. Enemy AI optimizations and ragdolls and shaders and balance and crashes, and most of this testing through closed beta. Crashes will be fixed in the short term, and in the medium term they will be ongoingly fixed. Bugs will be fixed in the short term as fast as they can be, but in the medium term it will take months maybe to fix all of them. Performance in the short term will have marginal gains now with the most recent patch, levels of details and AI optimizations. Big jumps in early 2025 in the medium term. And then in the long term, Meaningful improvements will come, but it's got to take a long time for them to work through that to optimize it for everyone. PC file size, in the short term, they're exploring hard drive and solid state drive specific patches to halve it from 150 gigabytes. In the medium term, they're hoping to deploy this very soon. Question: what are some of our main problems that we're running into and trying to fix on performance and stability? The answer is, I think it would be better to ask someone that's more technical, but I'll try. Performance, GPU bound or CPU bound FPS. It is not textures or weapons or environments. That's not our problem. The main issue is enemy AI and behavior and active enemy number, world and player interact. This requires major reworking of how we build things, and optimizing every asset only brings marginal gain. Engineers are restructuring the systems in Stingray, and there will be big jumps once these are fixed, but this will take longer. Onto the Helldivers stream where they did the Q&A while playing Helldivers. A viewer asked, how do you decide Warbond theme? And Nicholas Malmberg, the design director, said, what we try to do with Warbonds is we try to sell a fantasy, you get to feel like this type of person when you play, right? We're not thinking about a power fantasy or, oh, this weapon will be much better than every weapon that you tested before. That's not the primary thing. Roleplay fantasy is tied to the story like movies, not meta-focused at first. Another viewer asked, which Warbond theme would you like to revisit? Felix Fitzel responded with, things coming soon will revisit some undone ideas from old. No spoilers. A viewer asked, is melee combat difficult to implement in the engine? Nicholas Malmberg responded with, the engine is not designed for detailed combat like parry systems or button combos, but we've got ideas. But it's a real headache to implement on the technical side. Another viewer asked, any plans for a Frost-themed Warbond? Felix Fitzel said, it's possible down the line, but nothing in the near or mid-term. Viewer asked, how far ahead do you plan content? Months out? Nicholas Malmberg said, we've got a good internal roadmap, but less detail the further out you go. Post-launch was a scramble, but we've stabilized. Another viewer asked, what's your favorite thing about the game's second anniversary? Felix Fitzel said, the community riffing on our plans, like the Super Earth battle or trolley problem scenario. Makes the game feel so much bigger and alive. I'm just going to be saying just the question and the answer now. How do you prioritize new content versus bug fixes? We scour social media, Discord, and our DEAR systems for feedback. Balance especially comes from community. Feels bad moments we dig into the core frustration. What are the inspirations for the enemies? Purely just tropes and fantasies. Illuminates are classic UFOs, bugs draw from Starship Troopers, Warhammer, Tyranids, and even Planet Earth documents. Can we get more urban environments like neighborhoods? Maybe if it fits the galactic war fantasy, like fighting on hive worlds or colony streets, not just random cities. How has your balance philosophy changed? What about the coyote nerf? Early on, it was punishing lock and key, bring the exact tool, or run or fail, which led to toxicity like lobby kicks. After the 6.3 patch, we shifted it to flexible, fight encouraging balance so players stay and feel good killing swarms. Community flags feels bad spots, and we diagnose the root cause. On Coyote, I'm not sure if I should go into this. It put enemies on fire with one bullet, sometimes two made it like a better incendiary breaker or cookout shotgun. We adjusted the two shots reliably so it doesn't outshine, but kept its fantasy intact. No obviously best weapon for everything. Different guns for different styles. Make all of them feel strong. And that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Comment what you think down below, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!